Did you notice? Actually, he got the look from me.
As you know, we are work on the city cleanup every year, and had the honor of working with Solve this year. And Solve awarded us, I think it was probably out of, what was it, Rick, 6 or 7 cities in the state of Oregon.
That's right.
We were awarded #1 for the best cleanup organized by a government agency
Terrific.
in the state of Oregon. State of Oregon.
That's
We're
great.
proud of that. Solve, that's Stop Oregon Invalidism. And we're very proud of that.
That's great.
Very nice.
And
Well-
we would like, if it's okay, to put this in the display window and leave it up for maybe a month,
Sure.
and then we'll move it on down to Public Works
That's great.
or the library or something for.
That's great.
remainder
I
of the
appreciate
That's
the work
nice.
that you and Thor both put into this, and it's well deserved. I think it's a great honor to receive it on behalf of the.
Actually, it's made out of granite.
Recycle?
Yeah, recycled.
How we had the chance with the governor and all the TV stations and from all over Canada and everywhere. I don't know. It was really strange, but we plugged the into the Oregon Trail Interpretive Center opening up. Also, he plugged it for us.
Yeah.
I asked him, and he did it for us.
That's great.
How did you arrange with Solve? Because, you know, we've done cleanup for a long time, and this is the first time Solve has been involved.
Last year, actually Thor brought it to my attention that through Solve there were some benefits, and they would supply us with free trash bags and things like that Danielson's had always contributed to us. So we signed up for that to get the freebies.
Sure.
And then they said, oh, by the way, we'd like for you to put in for an award. And this is the first year that Solve's done that in Oregon, and it's their 25th anniversary. And
City of
Oregon's-
firsts.
Yes, it's another first in the state.
Huh.
And we'll be coming back with a report later from Solve, being involved with them, that probably will save the city somewhere in the neighborhood of around $5,000 that we set up through Solve, that they paid part of the dumping fees and everything this year for
Oh, great.
for the cleanup.
Terrific.
And they handed out $5 rebates on hazardous household waste, and we also use those.
Wow.
Great.
Terrific.
It's a beautiful award. We're really proud of it.
You
Very
should be,
good.
Thor. You do a lot of hard work, and I see you all the time with your plastic bag picking up garbage.
Okay.
Keep,
Thanks.
that's great. Keep up the good work. Thanks, Craig. And the next, there was some people from Castleberry Park wishing to address the commission.
My name is Ted Petty, and this is Joel Rogers, and we're residents of Castleberry Park subdivision. Our CCNRs call for the developer to plant a tree in every lot in a parking strip. And most of the neighbors have a minor problem with that, but we talked to the Planning Commission, and they said that that was a city ordinance or rule that the trees had to be planted there. At that time, which was a month or two ago, we gave them a petition signed by most of the folks in the neighborhood requesting that the money that was designated by the developer for the trees be given to us for other purposes, maintaining the strip between the fence of the subdivision and the sidewalk along Myers Road, those kinds of things. And we would be willing, certainly, to plant trees in that area. Denise said that we had to have sidewalk trees. We have counted the trees in the front yards of all the property there, and almost everybody has at least one tree. In fact, there's about 2 trees per lot in the front yards. And I've got a map showing you by lot how many trees are there. I also have the petition here. We feel we have complied with the spirit of the regulation, if not the technical requirements, that the trees be in a parking strip. What we want to do with the money for the trees is to have ongoing maintenance outside of the fence and right at the entryway. That's one issue. The other issue is the final paving on the streets, Castleberry Loop and Squire, and we hope that the city can help us talk to the developer to get that accomplished in a reasonable time. The third issue is a storm sewer drainage ditch between lots 4 and 5 have been brought to the city engineer's attention, and we feel that something needs to be done fairly soon about that because it causes or could cause a dangerous situation for small children. And Joel can address that a little further.
Okay.
I'd like to give you this petition and the map attached to the back showing the number of trees that are in the development already.
And-
Could I
and
ask
maybe
a question before you move on?
For the record, did you give us your name and address? We need that for the record. I'm sorry. You might,
I gave names, but you said Castleberry.
Ted,
Castleberry.
Pat T, P-A, 2 T's, 2 E's,
okay?
19832 Castleberry Loop.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm Joel Rogers. I'm at 19812 Castleberry Loop.
Okay.
And the concern that we had, that I wanted to expand a little bit, was the storm drain that extends between lots 4 and 5. I've talked to Charlie, and he had city engineer, I believe, come out and look at that and then called me back. And we were assured that this would be taken care of this summer, and I have no quarrel with that. But I wanted to make sure that we had note of record that it was brought to City Council or Commission's attention. My personal concern relative to the positioning of that open tile is it runs through my backyard. When we first moved into the subdivision, that was not an issue. Now the subdivision is, I think there's 9 homes that I can recall that aren't occupied, and 1 lot that hasn't been started yet of a 55-home subdivision. There's a lot of small children running around. My wife and I have both witnessed kids running through the backyards, as they will, and playing in the water that comes from the storm drain. The tile is large enough for a child to climb into. I could crawl into it were I so inclined. And there's a liability issue, I feel, as a homeowner that I would like resolved.
Can you bend the microphone down? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Just, no, sorry. Well, you can do that too. Thank you.
But I am concerned about the liability issue as a homeowner.
Sure.
And as I expressed to Charlie at one point, I think there's probably a deeper pocket sitting here than there certainly would be if they got everything I own. So I would hate to share that risk with the city relative to that open storm drain. So we just wanted to bring it to your attention again, and I do thank Charlie for getting right back to me on that. He's done a good job on it, but just a matter of record.
Okay,
And I thank you.
very good. Just a question on this map. Where the numbers sit, is that approximate location of the trees? Or is
The
it,
numbers in red are the numbers of trees in the front yard
Oh, I
of
see.
each lot.
Gotcha. all right.
If I tried to draw all the trees in
Yeah.
there, in some places it would just cover the small map there.
Okay.
And
Okay, I just had a question. The issue then, your issues that you bring before us are primarily city issues. I mean,
As we
the
understand
tree is a
it.
planning requirement for that development.
that's what we were told.
Okay.
We were also told that the strip between the sidewalk and the fence along Myers Road is city property. And we'd be willing to maintain that and plant it and keep it clean and those kinds of things, but we need some funds. The developer told me that it would cost him about $100 a tree to get them planted. 53 or 55 lots, whatever it is, $100, it's a fairly substantial sum of money because we can get the trees planted for a lot less than $100 a piece.
I think as a demonstration also of the concern of our community, we have taken it upon ourselves through contribution. We're not a formal homeowners association, nor we are incorporated or do we have a due structure? But we do have the ability to walk up to the next door neighbor and say, look, we're all throwing 20 bucks in the pot.
Yeah.
We've gone out, cleaned up, weeded, planted shrubbery at the entryway to the subdivision, bark dusted that area. We have sprayed for weeds and pulpy material controls along the entire fence row. They're dying out now. It's anticipated that we will till that and probably bark dusted or put on some other type of cover. The difficulty with growing something there is irrigation, and that would have to become the responsibility of each of the owners that face that fence on Myers Road, but we don't want an eyesore to the public as a representative statement of our, the pride of our little community there. So I think we're demonstrating good faith as a unit in our intent to maintain that subdivision and make it a worthy asset for the city of Oregon City.
Okay, I think we need some guidance. There's a question just in terms of CCNR adherence versus city regulation that, you know, and you don't have to address it now, but I think that we might want to get some comment on. I really, though, appreciate the spirit of what you gentlemen are talking about, and I'm thrilled that you as a community want to take a look at that fence area behind Myers Road. I've worried about that area, as Charlie well knows. We've talked about that. Just being kind of a no man's land and falling into disrepair. I don't know, Ed, if there's anything you want to add?
Well,
at
no,
this
just
time?
the difference between the CCNRs and the city regulation is a critical one. If the CCNR is required, you probably can't do very much about it as a city commission.
Yeah.
If it's a city requirement, the city is obliged to enforce those requirements. Same thing with the paving. If we required the paving to occur in a certain way and it's not done, then we have to make sure that it's done. And regarding the drainage ditch, I don't know enough about it to really, you know, give you an intelligent response. But if the city required the drainage ditch as it is, if you're going to modify it, you're probably going to go through the process again.
So in other words, we've got a little more research to do before we can say
We gotta
one
know
way or the
something about
other
it.
what it is we can do.
It's
will.
difficult responding here without having seen what's gone on before.
I understand.
Okay.
I'll ask Rich to coordinate something between us, and he's good at writing, and we'll do some
That's his
questions,
job.
some answers, and keep these folks on notice of whatever you see and provide you with
Okay.
an update, some time schedules of what we can do and what we can't do.
And if there's something we can do as community and citizen, we'll be glad to help in that
Absolutely.
process. We do have, what the heck was I going to say, Ted? Remind me, will you?
Your wife reads your mind.
No, she makes my mind up for me.
Well, I think we need to continue dialogue and hopefully come to a reasonable solution where it can be found. If there is.
The other thing that just flashed by me again was the resurfacing, or the second surfacing of the street.
Mm-hmm.
And we were told that it was in the best interest not to repave that until construction was done because of the weight of heavy equipment.
Right.
There is one lot that isn't constructed on, and that's the only one left.
Okay.
And the subdivision adjacent to us, Gerber Woods, is that correct? Has received its second coat prior to more than 3 or 4 houses being started. And so it doesn't seem very consistent as far as how the regulations are looked at. I don't know if that's the line we got from the developer, or whether that was a decision of the city. I don't care to explore
Yeah.
that any farther. But
Right. We can
Thank
check
you.
to see if there's a requirement as to when he needed to pave and follow up on that. That's a little bit easier to check on.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll do
Thank
that.
you
Pass this
very
on.
much.
Charlie, I'll make sure you get that petition.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for coming. Request for future agenda.
Harold Nunn, 1077 Woodlawn Avenue, Oregon City. Mayor, Commissioners, this little project started probably last fall, going down Sunset steep hill.
Okay.
There's a lot of brush that hangs over the road, and it is very low. So I started to find out who's in charge of that. And every time I called a number, well, you got to get a hold of this guy called the codes enforcement guy. Finally, I got a hold of him, and he tells me that the city has no code for this. The only code enforcement they have is for brush or trees growing over sidewalks. Well, I felt it kind of hard to believe, as being an ex-city employee for a couple of years, that we didn't have something to take care of this problem. But we don't have anything in the city ordinance unless it's been enacted since last fall about this. So what I've done, as you folks know, there's a lot of tall trucks, dump trucks, fire trucks, buses, and everything else going around all of our city streets. So I went to West Lynn, Gladstone, and Clackamas County Road Departments, and I got all of their stuff, and they all tell me the same thing, that this American Association of State Highway and Transportation booklets or papers or whatever you want to call it is what everybody is going by. So I saved all this stuff that they gave me, including this guy's name down at the county, and I'd like you to take it and maybe come up with an ordinance later on. But at the same time, let's see here. It's a relatively simple matter to do anything with it after you make your ordinance, which the city people can take care of that. The county just merely sends a letter out. And we have the water office right here. All the addresses are in there. Doesn't make much difference if it's the owner or property owner or the renter or who. They send a letter out, and they get about 85% return on their work. Very inexpensive, like. But I think now is the time that something should be done. If you all drive around Oregon City right now, the brush over the streets are getting really bad. But I'll just leave this here for a minute. I got a couple other items.
Or
We'll
pass
take
it
it.
down, sure.
Take it.
I'd like to also see the city, now they might have done this since last fall. Last fall, when they were building this subdivision back of the water tower, new water tower over back at Chapin Park, 6 o'clock Saturday morning, 6 o'clock Sunday morning, the neighbors all woke up with this gigantic jackhammer back there banging on rocks. The neighbor calls the police come over. Well, there's no ordinance against this kind of noise. And being on a Saturday and Sunday, they couldn't get a hold of anybody apparently from the city, so the neighbors all put up with it for 2 days. But I think we need to have something that the police can use. I don't think anybody wants to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning to a jackhammer or cutting the street. If it's an emergency, yeah, but not just general work. Let's see, got another item here. This concerns Charlie. I'd like to see him come off of this mic that he's got there. I like to watch city commission meetings at home. And I'd like to see him let Mr. Sullivan have that mic and come off of that with one that you can clip on Charlie's sweater.
Maybe all of
So you
us.
can hear him?
Yeah,
all
yeah,
of
you get right to the meat of something, and then you guys ask Charlie something, and you can't hear him.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and,
We have to tell you, does it on purpose.
but I really
I
like
hate
the
to
commission
admit
being
that
on
that
TV
wasn't
like
an
this,
I'm
that
just
keeps
kidding.
everybody informed.
Thank you, Harold.
I'd like to hear back
Appreciate that comment.
sometime, on what's going on now. I say this happened last fall, but I thought maybe it might work out, but there's still no ordinance because I've been down at the libraries and there's nothing in the book. But I might ask the city attorney if I could, a question. A tree out over the city street, is that the property owners or is that the city's?
It's the property owners generally, if the trunk is on the property.
But the main thing is, they're so
Where the-
low.
where
You
the
see
trunk is, yeah.
campers and stuff like this hitting trees, and the buses on Fifth Street down here.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a good ordinance to pursue.
The next one doesn't.
Absolutely. I can
It'd be a working tool for this code enforcement gentleman, or whatever he is.
think of a bunch of Laurel between 11th and 12th on the east side of the street that I have to duck under
Yeah.
and look every morning.
Yeah, and the intersections, this view section thing they have on the intersections, they're really getting bad, and being kind of safety-minded, I'd like to see a little more work put in on that. Probably not budgeted for, but gotta find it.
Okay.
In this regard, what you have here, Harold, is in reference to traffic. And what I heard you saying is that you want something other than just traffic.
Gotta go all through that, Susan, down here, and get to the,
For the last one?
I think he's mumbling.
So, yeah, this one here particularly,
This one.
this shows the sidewalk and this shows the street. There's
one for 11 feet and there's one for 14 feet.
Okay,
And we have nothing for the streets.
okay.
I just threw the rest of them in there.
Well, the reason I brought it up, because on our agenda tonight is, where is it?
Item 5.
Item
5.
9570,
Mm-hmm.
and it talks about signs and marking, and it's an ordinance amending Title 10 Vehicles and Traffic. And it empowers the city manager to designate stop streets, crosswalks, areas in which no parking should be permitted, placing traffic signs, general supervision of all traffic regulations. And then the last one is to require the pruning or trimming of trees and shrubs along streets and highways so that they will not obstruct the view for traffic, and order the removal or alteration of any signs, fences, or other objects along streets and highways that are an obstruction of the view for traffic.
So we're getting there.
You're getting there, what you need in there though,
This is a
Susan, you
standard.
need a height.
Yeah.
Because they can go out and take a handful off with their clippers and say they pruned them, to be technical, but you have to put a height on those. I do
Well,
believe.
but if he says, but if the city manager says prune and trim,
To
I
make it
don't
safe
know
for
that,
traffic.
I
This
think
is-
that's generic enough and wide enough. What does the counselor say?
The problem with all of this is that, as the gentleman says, in about 85% of the cases, you're going to get compliance.
Sure.
When dealing with the other 15%, this ordinance is just great, except that it doesn't provide a penalty, doesn't provide for a hearing, doesn't provide for the commission to enforce it unless you pass another ordinance that deals with these things. Some of that stuff is money-oriented. How much do you want to spend on it, and where do you want to, husband your resources? That's really a policy question for you.
Okay.
But as far as starting the process, this ordinance does it. The ordinance that this amends is one that had the commission do it. And because it's very difficult to get all of these things before the commission, I think that's why this ordinance is being suggested.
Maybe something could be changed in that.
Well, yeah, and I think this begins to help formulate maybe some standards that, whether an ordinance or not, can be sent out in a letter if one goes out,
Okay.
that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'd appreciate, after a while, no call or something.
Yeah, I think it will address
Okay, thanks.
what Chief Nunn was speaking to, because
Yeah.
that's my interpretation also. It's pretty
Absolutely.
broad and gives me authority to issue the letters for voluntary compliance. But I also think high, in my mind, when I read this, it means it impacts the street because of drainage, the leaves come down into the storm lockups. I think it allows me to do all of that with this new ordinance tonight.
Probably, Charles, with what she has there, this, whatever they call that, standard
Right.
safety
American
thing.
Association of State
Could be
Highway
referenced as a
West
Transportation.
Lynn and Gladstone use just about the same elevation on the streets for brush or trees. Maybe that'd be a good one to kind of incorporate in all the heights.
Okay.
It might be a good standard for me to make basis, because this wouldn't be done arbitrarily. I would have to have some findings and
Yeah.
why I did it, and that it's a
Okay.
standard.
Fine. Thank you
Got
very
it.
much, folks.
Thanks.
you.
Good
And this is
night.
a new microphone I have tonight, too. That's the reason you see.
I
over
have
there.
none, I don't need any.
Oh, no,
On
we
that
can
same
share.
line,
Yes.
I just would like to ask Jack Lynch, the chief, whether, don't they have something that this fire hall notifies? They used to be the fire hall notified people if they had, like, the grass was too high, it had to mow certain lots. They still do that? Or they drop that,
For fire.
for they,
The, mowing the lots is generally taken care of by Ray O'Driscoll. We still contact some people occasionally when brush interferes with use of a hydrant, but generally that's about the only reason.
okay.
Frequently, we'll bring things to the attention of the code compliance officer, and he gets them taken care of.
Okay, I remember that the fire hall used to notify, and I didn't know if they still did that or not. They'd send a letter out to somebody, your lot has to be cleared because of fire danger and so forth.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioner Alec, I think that's done mostly under the nuisance ordinance now.
Okay. That's, I didn't know if they still did.
And,
Thank you.
yeah, Rick?
Just a footnote, the street,
We're gonna get voices on this.
just to follow up on that, the street sweeper turns in a list as he sees the trees that bump into the street sweeper. And that, we kind of set that as a height. That's pretty good height and everything with all the equipment on it. And we make a list of that, and it goes to Rio Driscoll. And a lot of times a copy goes to the manager to let him know what's going on.
Okay. Thank you, Rick. Okay, and, maybe we can get back to Harold on the questions, and maybe us too, just an update on the noise situation. I know a lot of times that's conditioned in terms of development applications. I don't know if we have a city code that says that, but that would be interesting to know. And just a comment, I don't want to belabor this, but it sometimes is nice, and I agree with that, it's, where you put your resources, but it's nice sometimes if we're going to have ordinances to have some teeth in them at the same time. And so even in this one that we're reviewing tonight for Charlie, if in the future, the 15-20% that ignore it, if there's no further action that we can do in terms of taking care of it, leaning the property, forcing them, finding them, and that's the exception, but it still needs to happen if it's a serious enough offense. And that's in my opinion. I don't know that that's all, but we could maybe talk about that at some point.
I was going to raise that same point when we got to that on the agenda, by the way. I was going to
Okay.
raise the same point,
Okay.
because that's the only disagreement I had with the
And
ordinance.
maybe we can talk a little bit then. Yeah, okay. Any other requests for future agenda items? Okay, Dan?
Not really. Dan Holliday, 1223 Monroe, Oregon City. Not really a future agenda item. 3 months ago, the commission approved the vacation of 13th Street.
Yep, the steps.
Me being one of the property owners.
Right.
The next door neighbor, Sandy Gaylord, talked to me a few weeks ago and said that she hadn't received any kind of a notification or a deed change or any kind of an official document to say that that's going to happen.
Okay.
She talked to somebody at the city, and they said, well, nothing really does happen. I talked to my attorney, and he found that unusual, so I wanted to ask
Okay.
in a public meeting exactly what the process is, and is there a deed change, and is there all those kinds of things that happen?
Fair question.
When there's a vacation, what the vacation does is to take out the city's interest.
Okay.
That's done with a document that goes in the deed records or into the county records, which shows the vacation. That's all that needs to be done. We had a little controversy over that, if you remember, with the Savages. And we did some research to confirm what
So did that
the current
automatically-
practice. All
ownership
it does,
comes down?
it doesn't tell you where the property goes, because the city doesn't decide that. When a vacation occurs, it really goes to the person who gave the property or the successor to that person. And by the city vacating, all they say is, we have no more interest in this property. And that's why, in your situation, all the city did was to give up its interest in that easement across the road.
Because essentially the city doesn't own it.
In most cases, it doesn't own it. In some cases, it's a fair minority of cases, the city may have condemned a fee simple. But in most cases, when something is dedicated, that is an easement over property that's owned by usually the abutting property owners.
Now, by practice, or we get the consent of all of the property owners.
Yes.
And maybe building up an expectation that they then become the recipients of that land. And even sometimes, isn't it stated, I'm trying to recall even in some of the writings, that because we had quite a bit of discussion in your matter about where that line would be and where the future stairway might have been. And I remember that discussion assuming that that line was down the middle.
And in most cases, it is.
Okay.
But
How
when
is
you
it-
undertake the vacation, all you do is to say that the city has no more interest in that property.
Okay,
Well,
and when we remove our interest, who,
You don't give a deed to that.
right,
It goes by operation of law.
okay, then what is the operation of law and when property is
It
vacated?
depends. Normally, what
Okay,
happens,
no, that's fine.
if you have a subdivision where there are two lots on either side of the street and the street's vacated, it will go half to each.
Okay.
Sometimes you'll have a situation where the property owner gave the whole of the street, in which case it would go to the property owner who gave the whole of the property. When the city undertakes a vacation, they don't deal with the person who gets the property. They deal with whether or not there's a public interest remaining in that, that former easement.
As I recall in the letter that you sent out on the Savage one.
Yes.
The indication was that that goes, you are relinquishing any right to that goes to the county.
The county makes a call on that. That's not dispositive, but they make the call that shows in the tax maps.
Okay.
So if they want some information, they can go with the county?
County assessor.
That's the first place you go. The other place is you ask for a chain of title and find out where the property came from when it was
I was
dedicated.
just going to ask that and this may or may not be true, but in Oregon City's case, the plat, the original plat of that land may have determined the street layout
Yes.
at that time.
Yes. And if it were a plat, it is likely to go half to each. on
Yeah, because then it was
either
probably
side.
not given, it was platted.
That's correct.
And then it would be the customary.
That's
half each.
correct.
Okay.
But a lot of it has to do
Well,
with,
you don't mind if I'm still confused, do you? 'Cause-
No, but see that map, is that
No,
Oregon City's
and-
plat or is that San Francisco?
No, that's San Francisco.
That won't help.
But I have the original plat of the McLaughlin neighborhood amongst other things, and my question is being that particular, the two basic areas of Oregon City when they were first developed and platted out, that land belonged to the city as the city. Is that all right?
no, it was probably a patent of land that was filed with a federal authority.
So, okay, so here's the question of the day. Do the four property owners own a quarter of a piece of that property right now?
Depends on what it says.
It's a lawyer's answer again. It depends on where you are and where the property goes. If you're talking about the intersection,
Oh, no,
probably all.
I understand that. I guess the question is
sorry?
where do we need to go to find out what is happening with this? Because
You
it's
need
been
to look
4
at the
months.
source of the dedication. If the dedication were in a plat, it is likely that those abutting property owners are the ones who thereby own the property. And the reason it goes to the county is that the county, once that easement is relinquished, the county taxes those folks for the additional property that's added onto their
I
own.
would go to the assessor's department.
And I think that's the
All right.
first place you ought to start.
And then go down the street, 12th Street on 11th Street. We vacated the street there, and they've already taken it over, and they got their flowers planted and their fences up. I mean, it really looks nice.
Well, I'd already done that way before the time you guys vacated the property, so.
I see through confessions, okay.
You can tell Ray Erland that we sent you over there and told you that he would take good care of you.
Okay, yeah.
Do we know,
Thanks.
and I think you mentioned it, we're told, but do we have verified, we have vacated, we have completed our
Once we
recording of
adopt
those
the ordinance, my understanding is that the practice is that the city recorder sends it over to the county. And that makes it a public record
Okay.
at the county, and the county then does what it does with it.
Okay, all right. Is that,
I need to add that we have found some that have not been filed timely manner. I'm not saying this is one.
could we check on that, just to make sure, and,
Back at work.
oh, yeah. Well, I tell you though, Dan, if you check at the assessor's department, and if it's not, there's still a problem, maybe to let Charlie know where. Good question. Any other requests for future agenda items at this time? Okay, I
Yes,
believe,
go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm not sure if this is the right point in time to bring this up. So
You have an issue of concern?
Issue or question, or,
I'm concerned to a lot of us, yeah.
sure,
And it's not on the agenda tonight?
now's
Okay.
the time.
Now's the time.
If you could give us your name and address for the record, and,
So I live in Milwaukee, but it's
okay,
Clackamas.
maybe you could bend the microphone down, if you don't mind, and make sure, there we go.
Well, I wanted to climb up there. My name is Phyllis Barney.
Closer to the mic.
You're gonna have to step right up.
I
Don't
live
be-
at 4408 Southeast Jennings in Milwaukee.
Okay, her name was Phyllis
Barney.
Barney, okay.
And my two issues. One is with the cemetery. I really found it unacceptable for Memorial Day. My folks spend a lot of good money to get their plots in there and to have them maintained, and it was awful. There was grass everywhere. You couldn't even see the names on the headstones. I had to go clean it up myself.
Was the grass tall or just
No,
over
it had been mowed, but it was
Okay.
just, it hadn't
Okay.
been cleaned up in any manner.
Okay,
They need a mulching blade or something so it doesn't lay all over.
okay.
Is that the volunteer mower?
We
I
won't
have
get in,
no
we
idea.
won't get into that right now.
Might be.
But, I think in their
Sure.
agreement when they bought those plots, it was to be maintained. And it was not. There was grass all over it, even the big high headstones and everything had grass everywhere.
I'm Deborah Whitney. I
Okay.
live at 18907 Oak Tree Avenue.
Okay.
And
Need to- yeah,
my
thank you.
same concern is the cemetery. My father is buried in the Pioneer section. There was grass so high that I was ashamed to even go down there. Now, I was born and raised in this town. Mr. Alec knows me. And I'm ashamed of it. There is no reason for our cemetery to look like that. And I want to know what's going to be done.
Well,
We could make that an agenda item, Mr. Mayor, and because it's something.
I would appreciate it, I really would.
Involve more discussion than just the 5 minutes we're gonna allow people
Sure.
here to talk about it.
yeah, I think so.
I understand there were 24 other complaints filed in the office.
Well, on Memorial Day, Mr. Alec,
yeah,
there was 29 people that I heard complain at the memorial service, just sitting around my mom and myself and my family.
Well, I'm a little concerned to hear that because one of the things that did occur is that we had a day of cleanup. We had a crew of, I don't know how many
Hundreds,
kids,
80,
Or 80.
80 kids,
100 people total, yeah.
and we had, I don't know how many adults down there cleaning it up. And I'm sorry to hear that.
There was a real effort.
Well, let me
made.
say this.
Well, I'm
we-
not
we
saying
could- we
that there
couldn't- we
wasn't
couldn't
an
get to it
effort,
all.
okay?
We couldn't get it to it all, and I don't think they understand that part of
Okay.
where the maintenance is down there. Just quickly tell them, this Pioneer part of the cemetery, there's no funding for that part of the cemetery. That's the big problem. And that's the problem that this commission and our city manager and everyone else in this, that's involved is trying to solve. We do have a cemetery, group
yeah.
that meets once a month or so that discusses somehow you can volunteer, how we can help get that thing back in order. And we're hoping that some people become concerned and go down and volunteer.
Well, as my mom
Yeah,
was a
yeah,
landscaper
yeah,
in town
yeah,
for
right,
20
right.
years.
So maybe we can get some people, maybe you can
Hey,
get
I'll
on
go
that
up and
committee.
do it,
Yeah.
no problem.
Yeah, well, maybe you can get some people on that committee,
Yeah.
but we have, as Charlie knows, given him some latitude in possibly correcting some of the problem down there.
Okay.
It's just been a matter of money.
Well,
That's the bottom line.
And I think it's important to point out that the cemetery is self-sustaining. The cemetery does not receive tax money.
Right.
So the cemetery has to exist on what it's able to sell. So,
But
that
then they
may
need to
mean.
not tell people that there's going to be perpetual care.
Well, I think that what that says is that maybe we need to revisit it and ask ourselves, can the cemetery in fact sustain itself?
Right.
I think what it is, though, I think what the mix-up is, by the way, and I think we should put it on the agenda, but I think what
That's
the mix-up is
Go
the
ahead.
fact of perpetual care part. There was part of that cemetery, there was paid for as perpetual care, agreed. But the total of that cemetery was not under, where my
Right.
folks are, isn't
Right.
covered. There's parts that's broken up in different sections of that cemetery. It's not just a one flat deal, it's just so confusing.
It's all chopped
That-
up into
yeah, it's-
pieces,
yeah,
what
it-
is
yeah.
and what isn't.
And the problem, as far as the cemetery, as far as the Pioneer part, just no money for it. And then the people that went up there, and bless their hearts, there were a bunch of them, and a lot of people that work right here in this city, went up on their own time.
Yeah.
And Dan, you were there, and a few people were up there trying to do what we could to clean it up.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we're gonna have another cleanup thing in another 6 months. But I think what you should do, first of all, is I'll try to notify you or give somebody your name here that know when those meetings are. That cemetery, the next
Okay.
cemetery meeting that they have, you can possibly come to, and we'll sure, I'm sure they'll be glad to have somebody else that has some interest in it. And I have it down the next meeting. There's all these different meetings. I got this little book here. Yeah, just read it anyway.
Looks like my place.
Effort for him to buy that book.
Aren't you impressed?
I'm
Let's
really-
see.
I tell ya.
When my payments due. No, it's at 8 o'clock. The next cemetery will be 8 o'clock in the morning. I think they have it at
Public Works.
The Public Works office, and 8 o'clock, and it's on the 13th.
Oh, it's gonna be at the cemetery?
It's in the cemetery this time, at 8 o'clock in the morning, which is the
On the
13th
13th of June.
of June. And hey,
Tuesday.
I hope you can get 20 people up there, 'cause we can sure do something, we'll sure get something done that way.
No
If we all get
problem.
together, you bet. And maybe we can get some ideas what we can do as a group of citizens in this town.
Okay.
That's my stand. I'm just,
I
just,
agree, and we should maybe put this either on a time when we have an agenda where we can just talk about it. Maybe it's not an action, but it's a report from Rick and the cemetery committee and ourselves, and there's legitimate concerns. That doesn't mean we will have every answer that it's gonna please everybody.
Well, as long
But
as
if-
we get something.
But we've
you know,
gotta know
That's
what the
all we
problems
ask.
are. Sure.
Especially my mom, because she couldn't even come tonight.
Yeah, or a work session or something.
Okay.
People are angry.
Well,
Well, if
you
we
know,
would have known ahead of time that
Oh, sure.
nothing was gonna be done, we could have done something ourselves,
Right.
you know, at least for our own people.
Well, the
that
bottom
we
line,
know.
they're just aren't the personnel out there that are necessary to maintain that big of a piece of
Right.
property. That's the bottom line. It's just, and they don't
Yeah,
have the money.
There's not enough.
Yeah, just wish we had the money
A
to
couple
do
of
it.
people can't handle that cemetery. Because I know when my mom was doing yards,
Yeah.
she'd go up before Memorial Day, and they'd work for 2 weeks before Memorial Day to
I
help
know.
get that cemetery into shape.
And that'll come again. I'm sure if we get together as a group of citizens, it'll come again. I'm
Okay.
glad you came up as well.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
You bet.
thank you.
You bet.
I asked Rick to know about that. When the meeting, he'll tell you about the meetings. And then we'll all get together. I'll be up
I
there.
just have one more
Oh, I'm
question.
sorry.
I don't
Yeah,
know if it has anything to do
sorry.
with this agenda or not. It's my
Okay.
first city.
It's all right.
I want to know who to talk to about getting the street fixed by our house.
See that
Because
man
there's-
right there next to?
You live in Milwaukee?
Uh-huh.
Oh, you live.
Well, we
oh.
live on the Gladstone end of Milwaukee, and it's Clackamas County.
No, not us, not us.
You would.
Gee, Henry, tell her where to
Get
go in
Charlie's
Clackamas
car.
County.
Be nice now. Be nice.
Are you in a city or are you in the county? Are you in a city limit?
No, it sounds like she's in the county.
We're in no man's land.
Okay, you're in the
I think.
county. No man's land. That's the county.
Abernathy.
Call 655-8581. Clackamas County, Department of
for Ed Lindquist.
Transportation.
That's for Linquist.
Ask for Tom
Henry,
Van
Henry
Zen.
has,
Ed
who
Lake.
get a hold of.
Yeah,
We're doing construction all around us, and it's ruining our streets.
yeah.
I've had my car aligned 3 times in 6 months.
There you go.
I would like to remind the commission that the budget has not been approved, that our final date for that, on my memory, I think, is June 28th. And I would have expected that all the questions relative to this would have been asked during the budget session, and apparently,
You mean about the cemetery?
yeah. So, I mean, if there's an issue, of course, you know, you make changes in one and then everything
Yeah,
else gets
we'd
out
have
of
to
whack.
see
So
what-
it's really tough, but
Let me tell you, you've provided a lot of direction
okay.
in this year's. And I know we've talked about shit, but let me tell
Go
you,
ahead.
at department meeting today, we talked about, it's funny, I'm not funny, but we talked about,
Fix that microphone, Charlie.
we talked about the parkways, how tacky it looked out, Castleberry, it's
Oh,
funny
yeah.
you said that. We talked about this. I also talked to Rick, and I'm sure he got the point, everybody to me got the point, that we're not using the municipal court people enough.
Absolutely.
That she has a list of literally captive volunteers that can,
That
that
have to work.
that want to work in lieu of paying fines. There's a lot of resources there. And what I told Rick today specifically was when we hire some of the part-time college kids, you make sure the college kids can lead a group, look for people that can lead a group of 7 to 8 of these people that want to work. These people want to work. They're not people that are incarcerated. They can't afford to pay the fines, and they look for alternative things. So there are some options.
Okay.
We're not going to solve it all in 1 year,
No,
I
but
can assure you
that's
that.
something
But
good
that's
that
the
you brought that
creative
up.
stuff that we
That's-
need.
And that will happen this year.
and
But
we
we
need
have to,
volunteers.
the union has to understand what we're trying to get done.
Right, we're
It's
not
just a
taking
relationship,
jobs
that we're not
away.
trying to take anybody's job away.
No.
We're trying to make everybody's job better.
Right.
And that's really what we're working. So I feel better about it. I hope we can do, we will do a lot better job next year, no doubt.
Well, the
And
reality.
the public will hear about that job we're doing if you'll stay close to that microphone.
Yeah, I'm speaking, it's a new microphone. So I think that's the point, and I'm very committed to making it happen, because if those, and again, I think the folks themselves have realized that there's a cemetery committee.
He's too loud? Crank that thing down.
I'm going back in.
First we get complaints.
Sorry.
We can't hear him, now it's too loud.
So anyway.
Okay,
But
thanks,
I'm
Charlie.
glad to hear that, because I do think, I was driving to work today, and I was thinking about the climate today, and people just will not tolerate lack of service, regardless of whether or not you have any money. People expect service. And if we can't
good
afford to pay for it, then we are going to have to rely more on volunteer help. It's that simple.
And Suzette, I want to make clear, I don't think we're not proposing changing the budget in this particular, I hope that can come out that way. I think what we're talking about here is the volunteerism type thing.
Yeah.
I think that with the cemetery committee and so forth, you bet we scrutinized that thing so much, the budget, that I don't think we need to scrutinize it anymore. We really did something on that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so I think the volunteerism thing's what, and I really appreciate people's interest like these two ladies.
Absolutely.
Because they'll be there, and they might bring some neighbors, and people from the neighborhood group that came up before us. Now,
Yep.
we're getting some interest in this town,
Well,
cleaning things up.
And if they see ideas, like Rick looking for leadership qualities in college students or part-time kids in the summer that can lead 7 or 8 people, then that shows people that even though we're not putting more money into it, we heard what they were saying, and we're trying to do that in terms of the management of the city. And that, that can help.
That's great.
Okay. Is this a rewrite of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
We're going to move on to a scheduled presentation by Rich in code enforcement.
It's not on the, where's it on the agenda?
It's on my schedule, but hey, he called.
It's a department head presentation.
Just a departmental update.
Oh,
And I've been wanting to see that.
Thank you.
We've asked about this enough. We probably should give Rich a little bit of time on it.
No, that's okay. This will be a real short one. Mainly, I just wanted to this is for 1 month. I wanted to let you know what goes on in code enforcement. I think what I'll probably do is make this into a quarterly report. I'm also going to try and do the same thing for parking control. But in any case, it gives you a really good idea for in 1 month, the one code compliance officer that we have basically responded to, and this means did something about it, not just took a phone call, but responded to 163 inquiries, dealt informally with 98 compliance issues, sent out 81 abandoned vehicle notices, did 79 parking violations as a follow-up to those notices, and then there's a whole series of notes we've put below that shows the kind of things that either activities that were organized. In the first one, the annual city cleanup was something that we worked on, was kind of off hours, but it gives you a good idea of the types of code compliance issues that are being dealt with. On the back side is a set of definitions for some of the things that are in the report, so you get a better idea about exactly what it's talking about. And that's all I had. I'm going to make this a regular item and get on a quarterly basis so you know exactly what's going on, what are the issues. Any questions?
On the Subaru, on the third one down, the compliance activity,
Right,
they blacktopped that lot.
yes.
Has there been any more action on what the junkyard he started
In the
behind
back?
it?
Yeah, we're working on that, but I'm not sure what the answer is, but, we've already gone back and talked to him about that.
Because he's getting right into the alley with that now. He's growing.
Kind of like a balloon.
It's kind of like the one on 7th, just keeps growing bigger and bigger, and I noticed they threw more junk back there than yesterday, the day before, so.
Well,
And
it's really sad too, that they start these places in these small lots. And then we spend a lot of time harassing them about the business that they produce. And so then it comes back to the question is, why did you allow it there in the first place if we keep harassing them?
Yeah. In that case, though, the situation was they had to dig up an underground tank. And it wasn't necessarily the person who's currently at that location or using that location. It wasn't their problem in terms of it being dug up. So it ended up digging up with the original owner, and dealing with DEQ and them to try and straighten the whole mess out.
Well, no, I'm not concerned about the paving. I'm concerned about what Eddie's talking about is the number of cars. My assumption is that there are a number of cars in the back because there isn't enough room Well, and that may be because he didn't have that front lot, so maybe once that front lot's there, then maybe he will not.
There's also some issue about selling cars.
Actually, the number of cars have gone way down.
Yeah, the number of cars is down, but I mean, it's actually junk back there now.
Now it's just
Fenders
crushed
and-
cars, fenders,
and
dirt piles,
carburetors and, you know,
DQ, dirt.
Okay,
and things
and
like
that's
that,
something
yeah.
different than what I.
Yeah, and I think Rich has been
Okay.
on that, and I appreciate the letter we had on that.
Absolutely,
Doing
me
what he
too.
can about it.
Yeah.
We will keep
Sorry.
on it.
And he's getting some cooperation, and I understand through the letter, he's getting some cooperation from the man that's there, and that's what's
Yeah.
important. The guys seem to be cooperating with him, and, which is nice, if he gets
Yeah.
that cleaned.
I agree. Any other questions on this for Rich? I appreciate the format. I mean, we all probably talk like there's nothing going on. I think this helps quantify it for us a little bit, not that it's, that we still shouldn't communicate if we see something that we want addressed. And I appreciate the notes on some specific things that he's doing. That's good.
Well,
That helps.
there's some issues that keep coming up, and code compliance is really a tough one that I hear about, you hear about all the time. Why aren't we dealing with this? Why aren't we dealing with that? So I think this way, people should know what they're getting for their money.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks.
Can I take a moment to give you one that I've heard about several times in the
Sure.
last week? On Melinda Avenue between Clackamas River Road and Apperson, there's two manufactured homes in there facing Melinda. A third one was just put in between them. And I don't recall that there was, space for three of them. But they've also now apparently building a garage that goes from one right up against the new one that was just installed to within 2 foot of another one. And it seems like an awful tight space for
Okay.
legitimate. And I'd appreciate if you could check on that.
Sounds like Henry's writing something.
It does sound like Henry is writing.
I could hear that pen.
You'll notice
wonder
that we
what that
had,
scratching
you'll notice we had
was.
one of those on here. I didn't mention it, but
Yeah.
we've already had one
Also in
trailer
that
issue
same
like
area,
Which same area?
in the area
Yeah,
of
okay.
Melinda and Clackamas River Drive, coming down into the Park Place area, there's some trucks that travel certain streets down there that are residential streets that I don't think are truck routes. And I don't know if we have ordinances that, designate primarily truck traffic on collector streets or whatever. But they're circling into that where it is industrial through a residential neighborhood, and we might want to look at that and maybe use your powers of posting, Charlie, to maybe put up some no through truck traffic signs or something. I mean, that's something to maybe check into.
His proposed powers of posting.
Yeah, if we get to that tonight, the proposed powers of posting. Anyway,
We
that's
might
in
get
that
to
same
that.
general area.
Okay. Yeah, so do I.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, moving right along.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to request that
Oh,
by
yeah.
motion that you set agenda item number 4 for 2 weeks. It needs some further refinement. It should be done by motion. That had to do with setting up a payment plan on STCs. We were supportive of it, but it's got some issues
Okay.
that need to be addressed.
Is there a motion to set over for 2 weeks?
So moved.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's set over.
Keep this packet, or are you gonna issue a new one?
You'll probably get some new
Probably
stuff.
some tweaks, so, okay. Next is Commission Report number 9570.
Mayor and Commissioners, what I'd like to do is, this, as you know, currently there is language that allows the city manager, with authorization of the city commission, to make some changes and cause to have some things occur, like no parking signs, pruning of right-of-way, those type of things. But each time, we should come before the commission, write a lengthy staff report, a lot of staff time. We thought this would be one of those things, particularly now as we look around and try to clean up some issues. Really what this was proposed, what I really felt we could do would be, we are on a mission now to remove signs from those sidewalks. And technically, we should come back and ask for you each time. This will allow me to make that decision. Now, I will tell you that the decisions will be based on some findings. They may be, they'll be based on findings that I'll make, and when I give direction to someone to cause things to happen. For example, I think Mr. Nunn talked about pruning. I believe that that could fall in that category. It would be based on some standard that should happen. I interpreted it as if it was in the right-of-way, the street, we would just go out and prune ourselves. It wasn't, this was not meant to be an enforcement or require somebody to move a stop sign mailbox. It really provides us the opportunity to remove and install more properly signage and pruning. So it wasn't meant to be an enforcement tool. I saw it as a right-of-way. We continually talk about right-of-way, and in many cases, it's just a lot easier for us to limb or to move signs. So that's the intent of it. And it is an ordinance. This is not a public hearing, but we are asking, we called it a emergency ordinance so we could move forward with it. But the intent is to remove an awful lot of ugly signs, maybe make a little bit better placement of some signs in town, take a look at some of the curves of the, I think it'd really be helpful.
Okay.
Well, I think
Any
it's
questions? Yeah, go
Well, I
ahead.
was just gonna say, I think it's it's worth the effort. And, you know, if we need to have something with more teeth in it, then at a later date, I'm willing to do that, but I would like to try it this way first. I think that's probably a good way to go. I feel comfortable with it.
Ed, you had maybe.
No, that was my concern.
Yeah.
That was my main concern. When we draft these things, it's the 15% that we were made aware of. I'd like, those are the 15% that we should have something here to cover. I don't know how we could do that. You can't do it tonight, obviously. But I think that whatever we have here is not completely adequate because we have to have some way, through us, our manager has to have some way to say, look, if it isn't done, it's going to cost you whatever.
But what he's saying is that he wants the authority
You
to
bet.
direct staff to take care of it.
Yep, yeah, I understand that.
And then I think when at a point in time where it becomes a nuisance for us and we can no longer do it, then I think we can look at the teeth stuff.
Let me ask a couple questions, because what I'm hearing you say, Charlie, is you thought, your intent on this was primarily right-of-way. Things are inside the right-of-way lines of the city, overhanging trees, signs, all that, no problem. Criteria, but then it's, you take care of it. What about, or are we gonna get in a situation where it's not in the right-of-way? Visual is not in the right-of-way. Visual corners are, at 30 feet back, at angles to the intersections. And I'd wanna have enough authority given to still take care of those situations. Now, hopefully, most of them can just be a simple letter that goes out or a phone call or a knock on the door, and an awareness becomes and it's done. But if it's not, I think that's maybe the 15%, that we're maybe talking about, is where they say, no, that's my favorite roadie, and I'm not gonna trim that thing, and no way, and yet it is a problem. That's what I'm wondering.
We do have a separate chapter on
Okay.
traffic side obstructions.
Okay. And is there enforcement?
And there is an enforcement. There's a violation, you can cite them into municipal court.
Okay, all right.
We believe this was the missing,
The link
link
that-
in it to really help bring it together.
Maybe.
Now, we'll try it. If it doesn't answer it, obviously, we can amend something.
Charlie's the missing link.
I'm willing to.
Yeah, I agree, this is a good step. And let's try it, but I think as and we've said many times, we want to get serious about code enforcement. The only suggestion I'd say is maybe it says city manager and mayor, we could really get this thing, we could just live that, no.
You don't want to do shall.
Yeah,
You don't
no,
wanna do
I would not, I'm just kidding. Anyway.
Yes, with that, I'll call for the first reading of proposed ordinance number 95-1009.
Ordinance number 95-1009, an ordinance amending Title 10 Vehicles and Traffic, Chapter 10.08 Parking, Standing, and Stopping, Section 10.08.030 Signs and Markings of the Oregon City Municipal Code 1991 and declaring an emergency.
Do you want to poll the commission?
I have to poll.
Okay, go ahead, Charlie.
Commissioner Ebert?
Aye.
Commissioner Van Orman?
Aye.
Commissioner Halleck?
Aye.
Mayor Fowler?
Aye.
Call for the second reading and final enactment of proposed ordinance number 95-1009.
Is there,
Second.
Ordinance number 95-1009, an ordinance amending Title 10, Vehicles and Traffic, Chapter 10.08, Parking, Standing, and Stopping, Section 10.08.030, Signs and Markings of the Oregon City Municipal Code 1991, and declaring an emergency.
Commissioner Alec?
Aye.
Commissioner Ebert?
Aye.
Commissioner Van Orman?
Aye.
Mayor Fowler?
Aye. I appreciate the staff checking into that. I know we talked about it a few times and bringing it back with the necessary ordinance to get moving. I really do appreciate it. And I can't wait to drive around with you, Charlie.
Did we establish a traffic, a board? Do we have a traffic safety board again in there? Are they meeting?
It has not been officially established yet. It is in the works. Again, we visited with it today, again, a couple of days ago.
I know.
And put some names back into it, and there's some direction to do it, but.
Yeah, I visit with Mary and Henry and Rich and Charlie a little bit, but it's soon.
This
real
could
soon.
fit right into part of
Yeah,
it.
real soon, yeah.
A couple of them, whole couple would be interesting.
Yeah, if you could give me some names, seriously, if, in that vein, if there are names of people who you know would be interested in traffic safety issues, and there's gonna be 3 or 4 different committees, actually, please forward them to me, because we will need people to serve. Yep. Okay, moving on, recommendations to commission report number 9575.
Mayor and Commissioners, report 95-75 was before you in May. It was held over till this evening to do some redrafting. The redraft we finalized you have. I'm really not sure what the difference is. I think someone can go over the differences between what's before tonight was in your packet.
Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, we were responsible for the revisions. My associate Dan Cairns was on vacation last week. He just put this together. That's why it's distributed to you late. The changes that are made are lawyer-like word changes. They are not substantive. They don't change what the Public Works folks wanted to do. It passes muster for us. I would recommend that you take another look at this in about another year to see how it's working.
Good suggestion. Yeah. Any questions that the commission may have had in their review of the material? Or Rick, do you want to mention anything further on it? You ready to be adopted if we so concur? Okay. If there's no questions,
So I'll move for adoption of report 95-75.
Second?
moved and seconded. Any further discussion? And well, go ahead, Charlie. I'll make my
Should
comment.
say as amended.
As revised, and I would hope, I don't know if it needs to be in the motion, but just to note in the record that we would like it reviewed in a year or so for how it's working, but it's not a part of the motion. Go ahead, Charlie.
Commissioner Alec?
Aye.
Commissioner Ebert?
Aye.
Commissioner Van Orman?
Aye.
Mayor Fowler?
Aye. Rick, thank you and your crew and Ed for reviewing it. Good, it's a good step. Commission report 9573.
Little ironic that we received this the same night.
Yeah. Let's
But
see,
it
now
is.
what rules do they fall under? No.
That's what I was trying to think about.
Maybe we should have done this one first. No, go ahead.
And it really is a judgment call.
Yeah.
Our position, my position and direction back to the staff is we don't waive fees. We leave those decisions, obviously, at your level, and that's the reason before you. It's enough of an issue that's really a political question, and we harbor no feelings either direction on it. We don't think it's a
Understand.
decision we should make when we're talking that kind of money. So the request is directly you to consider it, the benefits and either way of it. I don't believe that we have in our correspondence. There is a letter from Steve Bond. It's a very successful, well-attended festival, which is good for the community. There is a lot of business spin on it. We could work within whatever direction you had. They are requesting a waiver
Okay.
of a usage fee.
My only thought when I read this was, I believe that this, along with the Jazz Festival, is being packaged with the First City Festival. It's that whole weekend. And so it's becoming part of a city, kind of a city, I don't know, sponsored event, in a sense, through some marketing dollars of urban renewal. So it's, we may
Well,
be, we
there's
may be
also-
charging ourselves, is what I was
Well,
leading up to.
they also received a grant from the trust, and I think it was it $1,000?
Oh, yeah,
$1,500?
yeah.
The trust gave them some money as an encouragement too, so,
And
in
they are
the
very
presentation-
organized, I remember that.
Yeah, in the presentation they gave to us, they really don't make any money.
That was the presentation they gave, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to say this, I completely oppose waiving these fees personally. I don't see how I can waive this fee and then turn around, somebody wants to put a running event down there, and I can say to that person, well, we can't waive your fee because it's not city sponsored, we're not connected. I personally think we spend a lot of time and effort in that park, and I've watched our city workers there. We can't clean up the cemetery, but we can clean that park up and get that all ready for the beer bust. And in the 2 beer tents now, and I see that going on, and it frustrates me personally as a taxpayer in this town to think that, hey, we do all that work, and I've seen our trucks in there and say, and then we turn around and say, well, I'm not gonna charge a fee on this. I would never not charge a fee on this personally. I'd say whatever the fee is for everyone else, that's what it is, whether it's the city sponsored or not. It does the guy in the block 13 on the other street no good. It may be a guy downtown selling an extra hamburger or whatever, but I just don't feel that we should be waiving fees right behind passing a fee schedule. And I just say, that's my opinion, and I'm sure that I'm in the minority as usual.
We'll
As
see,
usual,
we'll see, but not
you're
as
so
usual.
comfortable there, aren't you?
That's fine, I appreciate it. That won't
No,
be
I-
forever.
That's-
I have a question, Rick. Do you know where they fall in this new rate schedule?
Are they not, what's,
They're in, it sounds like they're in rate 1, their fee would be $75.
yeah, that's what I was wondering, is this,
Is that correct?
this amount on their page is probably way
Yeah,
off.
1,500 is a little bit higher.
Yeah, I
than
think it's
get.
not 1,500.
I don't have that information with me when they reviewed it and went through the permit process and they filled out the forms. They was gonna close off most of the park, the way I recall, originally, most of Clackamas Park to have this function, so. Then they needed a day to set up, then there was the event, and then there's usually a day afterwards to tear down and remove and clean out.
They're not gonna have that luxury this year because
They're back to
Jazz
back.
is one in there and they have to do it in one day. I mean,
I could actually tell you a lot more about this tomorrow because I have a meeting with the chamber and both sets of groups, meaning the jazz and the bluegrass.
You might just table the whole issue.
That's what I was gonna say. I'd like to set this item over for the next commission meeting, which is June 21st.
You might just table it, it may not need to bring it back.
Oh, okay.
that's true, because if they're willing to pay the fee, and if it is $75 or $200, or whatever it might be, you know, they might pay it. Like, you know,
It looks like 500 is the outside, just
Yeah.
in glancing at this.
yeah,
You know, the 2-day thing would be $500.
yeah, and it's one day, and what you might impress upon them, Rick, is maybe they don't need the whole park.
Yes, because I figured all they needed actually was C.
C.
C is where all
yeah.
the stage area usually set up.
And that's
where-
$75.
You've got some interpretation. I think a suggestion we'd be comfortable with you would be just to table the item. If they need to make, or to bring the request back, they can.
I'll
Okay,
move to table, you want to?
No, go ahead, Jim, that's fine.
I've got to look at this. I'm going to move to table item 95-73 indefinitely.
Is there a second?
Second.
Move to table, Charlie, you want to poll, or?
Commissioner Van Orman?
Aye.
Commissioner Ebert?
Aye.
Commissioner Alec?
Aye.
Mayor Fowler?
Aye.
Thank you.
See, Ed, you jumped to conclusion. Might not even have been in the minority on that
Well,
issue.
I feel I would be though beyond that. I thought everybody feels a
Appreciate-
little different than I do.
No, I appreciate what you said, and I think,
I thought we were in the minority, I and another person in the room.
Your
Oh, no.
shadow?
oh, no. Okay, we have a consent agenda consisting of 3 items.
Mr. Mayor, may I make a correction to the consent?
You bet.
Consent item number, Agenda 8.
Mhm.
I would like to suggest that we withdraw withdraw that for consideration. In fact, I think they'd be going to table also. And let me tell you briefly why. We've received notice this evening from the county that they don't have funds that accompany the transfer of road. Based on that, I don't see any reason we should take the county road if they're not going to give us any money. So I would request that item be tabled and it remain a county road until we have to have it.
We can handle that. Let's address that issue. Any other changes to the consent agenda? Okay, does
No.
someone move to
I'll
table?
move to table item 95-72.
Second.
Move in second. I'll let you pull us on it, Charlie.
Commissioner Van Orman?
Aye.
Commissioner Ebert?
Aye.
Commissioner Alec?
Aye.
Mayor Fowler?
Aye. The remaining items is a request for annexation, comes to us formally, then goes on to the Boundary Commission, and a liquor license application, Pogie Subs. I have just a question, and do we grant a liquor license to anybody who asks if they're clean?
Excuse me, you need to rephrase that question. We don't grant anybody a liquor license.
Do you recommend? You make a recommendation.
Do we make a positive recommendation? I mean, as long as they don't have
No.
a record on anybody?
Record? I don't know about that. You've made serious recommendations on a lot of licenses in the past.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I guess.
What we look for is path compliance.
Sure, sure.
The police looks for any activity, anything that flags the area for the servers. Based on that, it's a yes or no at staff level, forwarded to you.
And at what point do we, and maybe it's this point, right here, do we say, this is a sub sandwich shop, you know? Do we have to sell beer and wine in every restaurant in town for it to be successful? Yeah.
I honestly don't think it's gonna make much difference whether we opposed it or not. I talked to a lady from the OLCC that does the authorizing or permitting process, and apparently they have a guideline as to how many liquor establishments or licenses they can issue per 1,000 population, and she said we are well under the limit.
Wow.
So,
See, the
yeah,
other thing
it may
is-
be hard to believe, but they're all concentrated.
I mean, maybe
And I think-
McDonald's and Burger King's gonna be in here next.
Well, but my understanding though is that
You're
when
right.
you're a food establishment, so there has to be some sort of percentage. You have to have so much percentage sales in food in order for you to keep that license.
I don't know.
Well, I agree with Dan. I think
You
that.
know, there's Papa Andres is up there, and maybe, and I'm not trying to judge it, maybe it's, but, you know, they have beer
Well-
and wine and pizza and all
Yeah,
that, okay? In the
both.
same shopping center, it's a sub sandwich shop. I
Restaurant
mean,
and package.
the basketball team used to, they might not go up there now, but I mean, they'd go up there and get sandwiches, and I just don't, I don't know. At some point, you say, my goodness, does every place in town have to have this?
But you see, the difficulty with that is then you start making choices as who gets it, and that's so
Well,
ripped
maybe that's
with
why we're
favor-
elected.
But you see, then,
don't make
if
the
you
choices.
use that argument, Dan, you
I
have the
know.
same problem with the grocery stores. You go back to Wisconsin, you know, the king of beer country, and you wouldn't find any beer in the grocery
Just
stores.
getting my 5 minutes of due on, you know,
I think
you
his
have the
philosophies
mic,
here we're
excuse
discussing,
me.
and that's,
It's
and it's, I think his
philosophy.
philosophies.
It is.
It does nothing can do, but I feel the same way Dan does. That sometimes, and let me tell you this, I love to have a beer. I would, at the outset, I've done time in jail for it and everything else. The fact is, I've been there, so I'm not hiding behind the microphone.
That's right.
But the fact is, I think the same thing. I'd like to see a place that somebody can make that choice at some point. Say, I'm gonna go here because, you know, they don't serve liquor here. But that has to be up to the owner of the business. I personally, in my business, gave up selling it because of, you know, those very reasons that I had a lot of people complaining about that. And that's what comes from people that trade with you. People trade with you and say, look, I don't feel you should have this. And enough of them say that, you say, hey, I'm gonna sell a couple wieners now and then, so I'm gonna have to rethink this thing. So that's the only, but philosophy is what we're discussing. I feel like Dan does. It'd be nice if these kids had a place to go that didn't have this stuff.
Well, yeah, let me
But,
ask just a question, I don't mean to belabor it, I mean, but package store, they're not dispensing there, I assume that's not a tap, but package stores, I mean, they sell it by the bottle and it can be then consumed on site, but it's just in the bottle? Or do they sell it and go,
They
because,
sell it so you can take it out and take it home.
The application for both package
Yes,
store and
that's
restaurant.
correct. In this case-
and restaurant?
In this case, it is both.
Maybe both.
And remember, you're making a recommendation, and I know that's belaboring the point too. The decision is OLCC's, and they have different criteria, and you are a factor, but not a determinative factor.
I understand.
I'm going to move for approval of the consent agenda items 9 and 10 with
Could we handle these,
recommendations.
could we handle these separate? Do you mind?
No.
Okay, let's just handle these separate.
In that case, I'll move for approval of Report 95-71.
Second.
Okay. Charlie?
Commissioner Van Orman,
Aye.
Commissioner Alec,
Aye.
Commissioner Ebert,
Aye.
Mayor Fowler.
Aye, that's the annexation, okay.
Sounds
Good.
like this is going to be for discussion. I'll move for approval of Report 95-69.
Second.
I've already said my piece, I'm ready to vote. Oh, do you
Well,
want,
I guess I would like to say that I have a hard time with this because there are others that have sailed through that I've had some concern about him. You know, the one at the laundromat has always bothered me. I mean, so I feel like that when you start picking and choosing who it is you're gonna respond to, it's serious inequity.
Yeah.
And, so anyway, that's.
yeah, and I would just say that if I vote no on this, I'm not picking and choosing, that it's a philosophical discussion at some point in terms of saturation.
Only danger you have is that you might marginalize the ones that you really want to have turned down. That's the only
Don't tell me
advice I
that,
have,
Ed.
and I'm not
No, I'm,
advocating the side on this.
yeah, yeah. Okay,
Question?
yeah, oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I guess,
I just want to say something. Dan Holliday, 1223 Monroe. I guess from my conservative standpoint, I just want to bring up the issue of market. And that the market really determines whether these places survive and maintain and grow and all those kinds of things. So if there is a market for these people and they're legitimate business people and have the same opportunity we all have in the United States to perform our commerce, then the market's going to determine whether those places stay and whether more of them continue to grow. So it's, you know, I find it difficult to maintain the philosophy that we should regulate everything that we personally feel is something that maybe the next guy shouldn't do.
Okay.
Question?
Commissioner Alec,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Orman,
aye.
Commissioner Ebert,
Aye.
Mayor Fowler.
Aye.
Well, Dan, to
Boy, but did
dovetail,
I give my,
That's
did I
right.
feel better or what? I don't know.
to dovetail your concerns,
Anyway,
it's a legal activity.
yeah, it is.
And the unfortunate thing, though, is that it has accompanying social problems. Probably the one that concerns me the most is the rise in fetal alcohol syndrome. And fetal alcohol syndrome children are disadvantaged at birth. And if we're going to allow these kinds of activities, then, in my opinion, it seems it behooves the state to support those social problems that develop because of alcohol. And we've made drunk driving criminal activity now. We've done all sorts of things to penalize people, but we haven't done any real soul searching about how much of the business that we're really in, because we are into this business in this state. But I honestly believe that if this is what we want to do for a living, then I think we have an obligation to take care of some of the problems that develop. And fetal alcohol syndrome isn't the only one. Dysfunctional families, drunken driving, dysfunctional adults. These are all parts of alcohol abuse, and that's the issue. I don't think it's whether or not who sells or where it's sold. The issue is the result.
Okay, well, I have one appointment to reappoint Jim Hall to the Planning Commission. And I must compliment the Planning Commission. They had a workshop a couple weeks ago. I was invited to go and just talk for a little bit about some just procedures, communications, staying focused on the subjects, those kind of things we've done here, and just talk about Oregon City a little bit in general. And
How come you knew and we didn't?
well, I don't know, I got an invitation.
I guess. I see
And
that.
it was just a short notice thing. They had a work session come up and had some time, but I must say that I heard, because I don't go to the commission meeting, planning commission meetings, but that they actually had a pretty good, smooth running meeting, and they were real pleased, so I want to compliment them. Charlie, you had something
Yes.
about Chapin Park or Pursuit, you wanted
Yes,
direction or
as you
approval?
may or may not know, Mr. Chapin passed
Right.
recently.
Right, passed away.
His property is contiguous to Chapin Park. It's an important piece of property if it's affordable for the city to take a serious look at. And what I would like to ask your authorization tonight is authorizing me to enter into negotiations with the representative of Chapin's for the specific purpose of acquisition of some property. Now, that isn't anything we do be bought back for your authorization, but it really authorizes me to officially represent you that we are interested purchasers of the property.
So,
So moved.
second. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
Okay.
That's all I have.
All right. Anything by any of the commission members, any items wishing to bring up?
Just one question. Well, I asked last meeting, and I want to announce I won't be here for the next meeting because that's, but the fact is, I wanted to, anybody get in touch with Ken Dye? Has anybody talked to him?
Ken Dye. Rich was putting together a work program for us to talk about. I guess maybe he can give you an update of where it's at. The answer is yes, but I don't know.
No, that's not all I need to know, just the answer. I don't need to
Okay.
know exactly what's occurred. I wondered if they had talked to him.
No, that's good.
I haven't talked to him. What I've been doing is we're putting together a report. We're researching all the property titles. It's really a convoluted mess. So I'm trying to sort all that out so I can come back, tell you what the situation is on the leases, because Ken Dye is involved, we're involved, DS Division of State Lands, ODOT. Anyway, I will try to lay it out in plain English, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay,
But
I
I will
appreciate
get that report to you probably within a week.
Okay. That's,
And then the status of that vehicle thing that we had, when we're gonna get that back, the ordinances on the
yeah,
abandoned vehicle
I
type
thought the
thing?
abandoned vehicle ordinance,
I've had it done.
We felt that actually that there was the junk, it got expanded
Oh,
from abandoned
okay, I
vehicles
remember, yeah.
to more junkish.
Oh,
It's made it much larger than what it started off
because we
with.
talked about vehicles, and
Okay,
then
that's
what if
right,
it isn't a
that's right,
vehicle?
yeah,
We want the
right,
same,
right.
yeah.
So, I know it sounds like, but we
Yeah.
truly are
Yeah.
trying to refine it back.
Okay.
Ed's looked at it once, we've circulated with all the departments, the judge,
Okay.
the enforcement people, the police, and
You-
we've got some comments come back, but it's much broader than abandoned
Sometime
vehicle now.
this month, or do you think 1st of July? What do you think?
I don't know.
Any
I
guesstimate?
I wouldn't guess on
I
That's
wouldn't.
okay. We're anxious, but,
July,
okay,
into July.
all right. Anything else, Ed? Okay, anything?
I just wanted to thank Rich for the map that you made up for handing out. I like it. I wish there would have been a way to get, more of Oregon City shown on there too, some of the main thoroughfares through, but I don't see how to do it. This is good.
Well, I was wondering if you could just put an inset so that somehow they knew the Rose Farm was up here, because that's not indicated on there, because that's pretty important, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we're gonna highlight the Hackett House, maybe there's some other houses that should
Yeah,
be
I
highlighted in
have
there as
comments
well.
that can go out, or
Yeah. Okay.
it's, I have lots of comments on the map.
Oh, I'm sure you do,
Well,
Dan.
first off, make sure you give me all your comments. Second,
I mean, most are positive, but there's typos and little
we've
things.
expanded the map, and we've added every historic house that there is in Oregon City on the map.
Good.
So they're all marked there
Oh, okay.
in a second edition.
Okay.
Rose Farm is still too far south.
I know.
Jack already gave me trouble on this one, so we're gonna try to put it on the other side, do an inset map that
Okay.
shows the entire city, and,
Oh, good.
but I think we need we're working on a separate map, not for tourists, mainly for people that live here, that would show the entire city and how to get around, so that's something else.
Great.
But any comments you have, if you can get them to me by Friday, because we want to get them together for the opening of the interpretive center.
Okay.
Good.
But I appreciate you send out, you might, if you haven't, you might send one to the chamber.
They've got it.
Okay, great.
Downtown Association,
Downtown,
I'm
just
meeting
for
with them
other
tomorrow
comments.
morning,
Perfect.
and I'm trading phone calls with Thelma.
Oh,
Good.
good.
Yeah, great. You got my
Thelma-
message.
Thelma and Dana have something in common. They have an eye for detail.
Yeah. Okay, I have just a couple of quickies. Appreciate the work on the sidewalk stuff and that this is just another little detail. And it's because I drive by it every day by my house, and I appreciate the new signals at the intersection of Monroe and 7th. However, for the life of me, I cannot figure out why they added the pole for the new crosswalk signal next to the large telephone pole that remains, because that's the one the power lines are all hooked on. And they took the walk signals off the pole and moved them on to that other pole, and now there's all these poles, and so you can't walk through, you can't get through there. And had they just left it on, unless they're gonna replace that telephone pole. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I know exactly.
Exactly what I mean.
Actually, we was trying to get off PGE's poles.
Right.
When all the other poles we took out.
Right.
They was, actually, a lot of things was attached that shouldn't have ever been attached legally, and for risk management for the city. And we disconnected all those things from that pole, and now they're on city property if we get into some kind of situation for risk management. And the poles were actually bowed from being improper and was highly risky, and all those we took out. And we tried to figure out how in the world we could work that on that one pole, but we just couldn't come up with a way to do it.
Well, and I don't mean to get into
Would you like to have coffee with Rick
Yeah,
tomorrow?
I will. I mean, it's, that and then just maybe a checking for code enforcement in general in the alleyways of the city, because they're.
I'll talk to you about that.
They're, okay.
The one you gave me.
Yeah, all right. Anyway,
Well, I just have a parting story. It's a Head Start story, of course. And they had their graduation.
just a second.
They had their graduation, and we've had a lot of crying children because it's over. And one little girl was home crying and just demanded of her mother that no one ever asked her if she should graduate. She didn't want to leave. So,
Wow.
another success story.
Wow.
So we've had at least two.
Yeah.
So,
Great.
but it's a cute story.
Anything else?
Executive session shortly.
Okay,
just
we are
briefly.
going to adjourn and move into executive session pursuant to ORS 192.6601E real estate transactions and 192.661H legal counsel. And we'll